Good Wednesday morning, East Tennessee. My name is David Aldridge, Chief Meteorologist of Captain Accurate Weather, coming to you by way of the Captain Accurate Weather Command Center. Well, you made it to the middle of the week. It is Wednesday. It is also 9/11. Also hard to believe that 23 years have passed since we had that national tragedy, and a lot of folks will be thinking of and commemorating that day today. And as far as what we're talking about is fog, we don't have too much to report this morning. As far as the weather, when you see a 10-mile marker next to your town or county, then there's a good chance that you have some good visibility, maybe some patches of fog and gray in parts of Claiborne or Hancock County, perhaps up to the far north, up toward Bell County as well, maybe in the Smokies. Winds are light, if not moving at all, so it might be conducive for some fog to form that might not even have fully formed yet. It is 50 degrees currently in Middlesboro, Bell County, but 9 degrees warmer this morning in Knoxville. So I want to say good morning to you in Knox County. Anderson County, 58 degrees for you in Clinton and Oak Ridge, 56 in Maryville, and 58 in Newport. If you've got a weather report, an observation that you'd like to share with the rest of the group, would love to see you. Put your face on there with the avatar under your comment, which I have the ability to do. 59 degrees currently in Madisonville, Tellico Plains. We've got 56 in Crossville. So top of the morning to you. It is Wednesday. Happy to see you here. Oh, we got a note from Callie. Hallie says, good morning. She's one of my premium members. She's on Facebook saying hi to love seeing the smiling faces. And Mary Flannery, also quick on the draw. She wrote, good morning, David. Glad to have you all here. If you have an observation that you'd like to share, let me know, because we'll do my best to magnify your voice and could do that with the screen. By the way, as far as the dew points, they've come up a little bit, but not all that bad, or maybe not all that noticeable. We've had some cool, crisp air. Many of us have had dew points in the 40s the last couple of days, and you'll see that there are less and less of that now. Well, we have a 48 dew point in Rockwood, but most of us are in the 50s. We've got 55 in Knoxville. It's not necessarily sticky, but it might be just a tad more humid than it was this time yesterday. That would be the indication. One thing you'll notice are the high clouds. They've been increasing since last night. That was my expectation, that we would see an increase of those cirrus clouds, and that's all in part or in tandem with what's going on with the Gulf of Mexico. We have a hurricane named Francine, which I've put a little higher up in the order of weather slides, so stay with me. I'll give you the latest on her momentarily. But first today, where do you expect to be today? I expect we'll be in the upper 80s. Yesterday we hit 88 in Oak Ridge. I think you'll match that. It's interesting, yesterday they made a modification. It was one of the reports from the Weather Service at 87, but they dropped it a degree to 86, so maybe that's where it's been the whole way. But 86 Knoxville, 88 Oak Ridge yesterday. You can see we're pretty close to that again today. The only difference is there will be more high clouds. Normal high and low, 84, 63 this time of year. The record high 96 from 1925. That's a long time ago. And the record low 47 from 1993 and 1976. So if you like context, you've come to the right place. I'd like to be able to share with you some of the numbers that I expect to see today. 87 Newport, 84 for Crossville. Those are my expectations for today. Radar is quiet now, but I do believe we're going to get good use out of it later this week, namely tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow evening, and again Friday and Saturday. So some of you have probably been hoping, praying for some rain. We're finally going to get some of it, and you can thank Francine, at least the leftovers of that storm, to bring up some rain in our direction. The Ultimate Doppler Radar, presented by your local Marco's Pizza, does not show any rain, just a little bit of butterfly or ground clutter. Nothing to see here, the butterfly effect moving around the radar. We can see in Marcos.com, wonderful place if you want to grab lunch or maybe you want some delivery. Hardin Valley, Farragut, Maryville, they have locations there, and they deliver maybe outside of those particular towns and communities. Fountain City and Halls, Oak Ridge, Middlebrook, Pike, and Ebenezer Road. Check them out. They have a great pepperoni pizza for less than $10. They call it the Magnifico. I'm a big fan of that one, as well as the Deluxe. I like having the mushrooms, green peppers, all the rest on there as well. And for lunch, you might want to consider the Pozzoli. The Marco's Pizza, Pozzoli, I should say, is pepperoni and sausage. The one that's pictured on the top is my personal favorite. And you can actually acquire that for less than $6 for a limited time. Check them out at Marcos.com. We have a big game. I say it's a big game because it's a game. Some might say it's a glorified scrimmage. I know, because when you've got 0-2, Kent State, the Golden Flash is coming to town at 7:45 at night. Obviously, under the lights, there will be a few showers still in the area. My anticipation is a 40% chance of rain at night. I have a 60% chance by day. So some might say, that's a contradiction. No, it's not. Once the sun goes down, you lose the heat source. I think the chance of rain will be less once we get toward nightfall. And the sun will be setting pretty close to 7:45. It goes down today at 7:48. this evening. But we are number 7. Hard to believe, but maybe not hard to believe when you beat Chattanooga 69-3 and you beat NC State 51-10. Why not? Why not be in the top 10? We've got a winning team. I don't know if we're all used to that anymore, but now we're all excited. Everyone's on the bandwagon, and for good reason. 71 at kickoff, 69 at halftime. I expect mostly cloudy skies, and winds are going to be pretty light. Should be at 67 for the rest of the fourth quarter. By the way, there are flood concerns already in Mississippi. We're going to look at the Gulf of Mexico here next. Nothing to see up north, maybe a few showers in the Great Lakes, but obviously the big story is Francine, and she's got winds of 90 now. Life-threatening storm surge. Life-threatening storm surge and hurricane force winds later today for the Louisiana coast. The Louisiana coast. It looks like Texas will be spared the worst of this, as it has been shifting further east into Louisiana, and that's what they're bracing for later today and tonight. And they're anticipating 4 to 8. I said 4 to 8 isolated 12-inch amounts of rain. This is a lot of rain for an area that's also going to be pounded with the wind and the storm surge. Now, we haven't had much rain at all. You say, when did we get 0.03? It wasn't Sunday. It was a week ago last Sunday. Around dinner time, we picked up 0.03 of an inch. So we're on the dry side of the ledger. This is the dry season, August, September, October, with October topping the list for the driest month on average. We're lucky to get 2.81. Less than 3 inches of rain occurs in October, historically speaking. Now, if you look at Francine, you can see the winds there at 90. This is the latest update from the National Hurricane Center. And you can see it's moving to the northeast at 10 miles an hour. Once we move in now, they've kind of oscillated. You'll notice the intensity forecast keeps moving. They thought it was going to be a 90 mile an hour Cat 1 here, but now they got to move it back up to a Cat 2. One of the things I shared with my premium members on Sunday was I said the intensity forecast could be a little squirrely. It could probably be a lot stronger than was first anticipated. And that may be what's happening as it's going right toward Baton Rouge, maybe on the west side of New Orleans, but they're still going to have some big effects in places like New Orleans and even some tornado possibilities in Mobile and even Panama City. You can see toward Jackson it goes by 1 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. It's got winds of 35, and it's at that point a tropical depression, but you can see it really kind of falls apart. Wasn't this cone over Nashville like last night? It was. And now they've pushed it west of Jackson, Tennessee. So there's not a whole lot of Francine left. Once she moves over land, she loses her intensity, she loses her punch, but she will be actually punching very hard in Louisiana today, so thoughts and prayers are with them. If you got a comment, love to say hi to you. Dawn Rumsey's on here. She says, good morning, sitting on the deck, watching the color of the sky change. I hope you have a great day. Thank you, Dawn. Always appreciate it. Always appreciate your support. Alice is on here. She says, hello, good morning, have a great day. Glad to see her smiling face. And Wanda Poe is quick on the draw here. She said, David, when the rain comes, will it be a lot of rain? Probably not a whole lot. We're probably looking at generally, in terms of quantity, about half inch, maybe 3/4 over a 3-day period. So Thursday, Friday, Saturday, we'll be lucky to get a half inch to 3/4 of an inch on average. And again, it's going to be widely scattered, Wanda, so it's not going to be everywhere. I wanted to show you the storm surge. You know, it's a lot worse if you happen to live in many areas in the country like Louisiana. It might be below sea level. So you've got a 12-foot plus storm surge affecting southern Louisiana, and that storm surge may be 6 feet or less around Mobile or Gulfport and maybe west to Pensacola. But there's a tornado threat. You probably figure that as well would be part of the equation. That is the case. Anything that's in orange would be several tornadoes anticipated, and if it's yellow, it might be represented as few. But there's still the possibility you could get a spin up. You may not be an EF3 or EF4, but it could be an EF01, more likely as it spins up into parts of Louisiana, into Mississippi, and in Alabama, even western parts of the panhandle of Florida. Now, there is another storm that I think it's going to form, but when you look at this map, where do your eyes get drawn? You see the big red, right? The big bullseye. It says 80%. Here's my concern. You got an 80% chance here. I think there's another storm, and I'm really kind of like hedging because I don't know who's next. I know the next name. The next name is Gordon, and the name after that is Helene. So is this Gordon? Because I think there's going to be a new storm here by Sunday, Monday of next week. Today's Wednesday. So there's not even a patch of color here. So I'm anticipating that there will be. So if you have any plans to go to the Carolinas, there'll be a storm off the coast of Georgia and Florida headed to the Carolinas next week, and it could be Gordon, or that could be Gordon, or this could be Helene. I don't know which the Hurricane Center. It's like trying to anticipate or forecast the umpire, trying to forecast what the referee is going to say in a football game. You know, you can't necessarily anticipate. You can assume that they're going to throw a yellow flag, but you don't necessarily know what the call was. I don't know what the call is. Is this 80% in the Atlantic? Is that Gordon, or is that going to be Helene? But I do think you're going to get two rapidly fired names here in about less than 6 days. So we'll keep an eye on that. I do anticipate that could play a role even in our weather, because if you have a tropical storm hitting the Carolinas, we've got to watch the rain come in from the east. So we're watching it from the south at this particular time, but we'll be watching it come up from the east heading into early next week. Hurricane season, now that we've passed the 10th of September, it's September 11th. Does that mean the hurricane season's over? It's like it's now going down on your graph. Well, that's based on history. It doesn't mean it stops. Hurricane season continues, but it usually ramps up around the 10th of September, so we're right on target. This is typical, climatologically typical of what you might see. But there are the names. You can see Gordon is on the deck for the next name. Who are they going to name Gordon, and who are they going to name Helene? You have another name, maybe Isaac and Joyce, as we parade down the list of this year's names. The rainfall that Wanda Poe wanted to know about, very heavy. As I mentioned, 4 to 8 isolated 12 inches are forecasted for Louisiana. And for us, it might be a ½ inch. Maybe it's closer to this. It says 0.95 if you can pull out your bifocals. That's what Knoxville suggests. But there's going to be heavy rains, 3 inches or more, 3 or 4 in West Tennessee, more likely than not, from Francine. September high, as I mentioned, we adjusted it to 86. It was 87, or excuse me, 88 yesterday in Oak Ridge. But we have had 3 very cool days. A weekend that was absolutely delightful when we had a high of 78 both particular days. By the way, it's 6:51. My goal is to be done here at the top of the hour. I want to bring up the idea of smoke. We have wildfire smoke in many places around the country. Some of it's nearby, some of it is far away. And if you see yellow, it's suggested as moderate smoke in the atmosphere. But Francine is actually going to push it, a lot of it, not all of it, but push it to the north and to the west. And you can see by 5 o'clock today, there's still maybe a hint, adding a little haze to the atmosphere, but most of it's traveling along and toward Canada, the Great Lakes. So we are thankful that Francine, even though she's not going to have much impact here, she's going to maybe decrease the smoke in our atmosphere. As you can see the arrows pushing some of that back toward Montreal, Canada. Tracking the clouds, will it be as bright as it's been? Maybe not. As I suggested to you, there'll be more cirrus clouds, more high, thin clouds running at 25,000 feet all the way up into the atmosphere. And so with the sunrise sunset time on your screen, it'll come up at 7:16 this morning, going to bed at 7:48. Got some other notes. Someone on YouTube is posting some Spanish. I don't have the translation, but I do hear you. I see you. Thank you for watching. I got a note from Carrie. She says, good Wednesday morning. It's 57 in Morristown Alpha. Have a fantabulous day. Loving this weather. Thank you, Carrie. Appreciate your support and your observation. Our friend Fred has a very pleasant, he notes, pleasant 58 degrees in Maryville. Glad to have him here. And Danny's on here as well. Says, hope you have a nice day. Go Vols. Yeah, they're going to have a big victory, I think, this Saturday night. So maybe it's time to rest the starters. What do I know? I'm no coach, but I would think you want to rest up for that Oklahoma game that might follow. Good morning, David, says Karen Robbins. She says it's a chilly. She describes 58 as chilly on the plateau as I'm feeding my kitties breakfast. Glad to have everyone watching, and including the kitties. Thank you very much, Karen. Glad to have you on the live stream. Let's get you to school if you're headed there, and what you might expect coming home. Because with temperatures now in the 50s, we're going to go to about 71 at 10, 83 between, say, 2 and 3:30 for pickup, with more hazy sunshine and a little bit of smoke, but certainly more ragweed. Some of us are still suffering from that as it continues to run high. Hazy sun, warm, high clouds today, making a run toward 88. And again, 86 for Wartburg is my expectation, 87 for Tellico Plains, and 87 for Morristown, Talbot, White Pine, and Russellville. Now, humidity tracker, is it going to come back? You probably figure if it's going to rain, it's got to become more humid than it is right now. And that's a fair assumption. A lot of the higher dew points in green, I call it the green ooze, because it oozes back into the picture. Look at Memphis, noontime tomorrow. Tries to come back maybe into our neck of the woods on Friday. But you'll notice the dew points are back midday Friday, certainly for high school football. There may be a few showers and thunderstorms on Friday evening. Boo. That might be homecoming. Who knows? Maybe for your high school. But whatever you've got planned for Friday night, take note that there will be some showers and storms, at least in the area. I left the probability at 60%. 65 current temperature in Chattanooga, 52 right now in Johnson City, while it is 59 in Knoxville. If you're traveling today, many of us are starting off comfortable. Anything that's yellow is typically pleasant. I like the word that Fred used because it is pleasant. It's not all that sticky, but it might be just a little bit dry, or a little more humid than it was this time yesterday. It is 6:55. Here are my headlines. Hazy sun, high clouds today, and we're still watching Francine, at least what her effects may bring, which would bring some beneficial rain. And could we get another tropical storm next week? Normally, I'd put a name on it and say it's going to be Gordon. But watch, as soon as I pick out Gordon, and then they name Gordon out in the middle of the Atlantic, then it's Helene. So I can't win for losing. I just know that the names are on the list, and we got two storms that are probably going to form in a short period of time, maybe within hours of each other. They could get names within hours of each other between now and early next week. But it's the southeast that we'll have to watch, Carolinas that we'll have to watch for the next named storm. Right now we have 59 degrees, no wind. Relative humidity at 87%, and dew point is at 55 degrees. Valley Planner, how warm are we at noon? That's all I want to know. Well, at noon, we're going to be around 78. That's pretty comfortable. There may be a hint of, obviously, some ragweed in the air, a little bit, maybe a hint of smoke. But other than that, high clouds, hazy sun, a pretty pleasant day, but no rain to talk about today. Temperatures will finish generally in the mid to upper 80s, as we've highlighted on multiple occasions. And as far as the rain chances for Saturday night, I left that at 40%. Couldn't be more clear with my big white arrow. Oh, so it's 60 a day, 40 at night. That's what I'm saying. I think once the sun goes down, we lose some of the punch, and we lose probably less probability, probably shave 20% off as far as the rain opportunities for the game. Storm Prediction Center, we've already covered some of the tornado threat areas, but again, there will be some isolated severe storms in green in Montana, parts of the western Dakotas, and even back toward Boise, Idaho. But really, it's the focal point down south. We're looking at New Orleans, Gulfport, Mobile, even Panama City that has the reason to be concerned for isolated tornadoes and scattered severe storms, but clearly nothing to see in Tennessee. Does that change on Thursday? The answer is yes. The chance for some isolated severe storms will move into Tennessee, at least south middle. South middle Tennessee might have some dark green areas, but the two hot spots Thursday will be back in parts of Montana, isolated severe storms in dark green, scattered in yellow, but it'll be Tallahassee, Dothan, Montgomery, and Birmingham that'll have reason to be concerned for some scattered severe storms, maybe even tornadoes there too. But it looks like by Thursday, coming in late in the afternoon, I have rain showers late. Most of the thunder should be Wartburg West. Wartburg West for thunder Thursday afternoon. And you'll notice that right now, the Storm Prediction Center has no concern for severe weather on Friday as this storm keeps pushing further west. Remember, it was in Nashville, now it's west of Jackson. There's not much of Francine by the time you get to Friday. It's like like when Pac-Man, right? When Pac-Man loses, boo, 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 wait, it just falls apart. Francine is going to lose a lot of its energy on Friday, so that's why I suspect you don't see any severe weather concerns at this time for East Tennessee or even Middle Tennessee for Friday. Could that change? It could, but we'll be watching that too. High pressure moving across Pennsylvania, New Jersey today. As it slides off the coast, it's going to open the door for a rain pattern for southern Alabama, southern Mississippi, all associated with Francine. And Francine moves toward the north like so. This is really maybe too fast for my taste, but it brings in some rain the second half of your Thursday in scattered form. Little bands start to slide in, and the rain, as I say, will be welcomed for many. Many will say, I'm glad to get the rain in my lawn because my lawn is pretty dry, almost crunchy. Would prefer to have more rain than what we're getting, but we'll take what we do receive. By Saturday afternoon, I think we can take there. You can see how this front kind of stalls, but it's at this time, once we move into Sunday, there's going to be reason to watch what's going on off the coast of Savannah, off the coast of Jacksonville, North Carolina, and Jacksonville to Florida. That whole area south of Savannah will be watching on Sunday and Monday for the new tropical storm that might form. 88, the high temperature today. It's now 6:59. I'm finishing on time, and I also have time for your comments at the end. It'll be warm with high clouds. Today, a high of 86, Wartburg. 87 Morristown, looking for a high in Campbell County. Talking about La Follette, Caryville, Jacksboro, 85. Oneida, Scott County, 85 as well. We'll be hotter to the west, 91 Nashville, 90 Jackson, Tennessee, and 87 for Jackson, Kentucky. If you're headed south toward Atlanta, they should be around 82 degrees. For tonight, we're down to 60. That's my expectation. It'll be a hard thing to distinguish. Is it partly or is it mostly? The answer tonight is yes, yes, and yes. It'll be both. Basically becoming cloudier with more clouds anticipated tonight if you have plans. But winds will remain light and variable, 0 to 5. Down to 58 for Morristown, 59 for La Follette, and 58 for Crossville in the heart of Cumberland County later tonight. Here's your Captain Accurate Weather Authority forecast for Knoxville, East Tennessee. Now, it's not a misprint. I've got a little spinning tropical storm on the bottom right. Hopefully it'll become more apparent why that is. I have labeled for multiple days now, watching the leftovers of Francine. If you go back 2 days ago, I said watching leftovers of future Francine. Who does that? Who's predicting leftovers of a storm that hadn't even formed yet? Captain Accurate, you're so far ahead of everybody else. That's why you're who you are. I'm telling you, that's what I'm seeing with this tropical storm. So it's an alert for you. If you have plans to be in the Carolinas Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, you're like, I didn't know this tropical storm. Nobody told me about that. I'm telling you about it because I want you to be aware and how it might impact Tuesday's forecast in Knoxville, depending on how far west that storm goes. Because Tuesday, Wednesday could be rainy for us if we get the remnants of another tropical storm that could be named Gordon or Helene. We'll have to wait to see what they name her, him or her, but we've got the potential on the board. High pressure will be keeping things dry today, but we have unsettled weather Thursday afternoon, Friday, Saturday, and temperatures will struggle to get out of the 70s tomorrow. And certainly I have us in the upper 70s, mid to upper, for Saturday with the game temperature kickoff around 71 degrees. So if you've got a comment, let me know. Obviously with lows in the 60s, it will be more humid, as we've talked about thus far. I got a note from a couple of other of you. From Linda Rice. I want to say good morning to her. She says, good morning, David. Have a great day. Glad to see Linda there. And Darcy Soar, one of my premium members, says, David, you rock. Love how accurate you truly are. Happy hump day and happy Wednesday. Keep in mind, too, today is September 11th. I'm mindful of that. And remember, everybody remembers who are old enough, remember probably where they were and what was going on in their lives at that particular time. I have mentioned the app, but I want to mention it again. It's a free product. Did I mention free? How many of you like free goodies? This is a free goodie with Pete Michaels Traffic. It's the app that has every National Weather Service alert known to man to pop up on the screen if you have the download. But you also get 3 extras that the National Weather Service does not issue because they're issued from Barron. Barron Weather represents critical weather intelligence. You also get lightning alerts. You get 16 locations rather than just 10 like most apps provide. And you get a BTI, Barron Tornado Index. So if a tornado is forming, for family that might be down in Louisiana, they would be getting a BTI score of 0 to 10. 10 being the most likely. Anything that's 7, 8, or 9 is a good time to be in your basement. And you don't have to hunt and seek and search for what's my BTI score. It'll just pop up on your phone if you are under that risk. Isn't that nice? You don't have to search for it. It'll just appear on your phone. That's free. If you want something extra, like Darcy and others that have signed up for my premium service, you get all sorts of goodies, like weather that goes 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks in advance. I do post each and every day for my premium members beyond the next 7 days if you want to get some extra weather information, especially going into winter. My goodness, I'm going to have my winter weather outlook pretty soon. Some of you are like, I'm signing up for that. You know, I was the only one going 8 to 12 inches of snow. Nobody was calling for that locally on other sites. I can tell you, nobody, and they verified 8.5. Some of you had 10. Some of you had 11. Some of you had 12. So if you're interested in the winter weather outlook, it's going to be coming out before you know it. First to see every forecast if you're a premium member. First to get more Facebook Lives. That's also one of the cool things you get every week, typically on a Sunday, to help you plan for the weather ahead, for the week ahead. And you get fewer ads, all for just $4.99 a month. That's 16 cents a day. It's a real bargain. Would love to have you join us because it is a vibrant group, very active, and very thankful for each and every one of my premium members. Well, thank you so much for being here. Be mindful. Prayers for our friends in Louisiana. My name is David Aldrich. It's not easy being Captain Accurate. We'll see you here next time. Take care.